Jim Jordan, last time I checked, there's 3 branches of government. There's separation of powers. They're district court judges, not national court judges. And then I see statistics. 92% of the temporary restraining orders, temporary injunctions, permanent injunctions, other permanent orders being issued against Donald Trump during his past and current presidency were by Democrat judges. So we have form shopping. The whole thing's a setup. And we also have Chuck Schumer saying, yes, I put 235 progressives on the court. Now, you're going to hold a hearing next week. You're going to look into this. You're going to bring some very smart people up there. Probably going to have a witness for the Democrats, which means you'll have at least one that's not that smart. So anyway, what are you looking to do?
Well, we're going to use every lever we have in the legislative branch. We can do legislation. We have a bill that passed out of the committee 3 weeks ago, which says when one of these judges, district judges, trial judges, issues an injunction, it doesn't apply nationwide. It will apply only to the parties in that case in that respective jurisdiction. This is something, frankly, Mark, as you know, even some of the judges on the Supreme Court, justices on the Supreme Court who lean to the left, they've even raised concerns about the idea that a district judge can have an injunction that applies nationwide. So we got legislation. We'll look at the appropriations process. I think it's the main power we have in the legislative branch to deal with the other branches of government. We'll look at that. And then finally, we're going to do oversight, which is one of our other responsibilities. And we'll start that with the hearing next week with some experts who will come in and talk about this issue and what has disproportionately happened with these left-wing activist judges going after President Trump.
There's also this overarching issue, Mr. Chairman, which is the people are sovereign, not the government, not the judges.
Well said.
The people are sovereign. So when you destroy the constitutional construct, which was set up by the framers of the Constitution, adopted by the ratifiers, and the people destroying it, they're not interpreting the Constitution, they're not embracing it, they are rogue. They do permanent damage to the Constitution and to our liberties as a sovereign people, do they not?
They sure do. I'm so glad you brought that up because you're 100. This is the fundamental question. Who runs the country? We the people and the people who put their name on the ballot who we elect, or the experts, the unelected judges, or worse yet, the unelected bureaucrats who the left always seems to want to empower, like the Faucis of the world who ran our life, ran our country for 4 stinking years during the Biden administration. So, yeah, this is the fundamental question. It's the people. 77 million of them voted for the guy who put his name on a ballot, went out and ran, told us he was going to secure the border and do the things he's doing, and that you have a judge in Timbuktu, California, who can do some order or some injunction and stop that. That is not how our system's supposed to work. And this is so important, so important. It's we the people and the people that we elect who make the decisions.
And the consent of the people through their representatives. That has held since Aristotle, for crying out loud. Actually, before Athens, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Athens, Rome, America. And so we have these judges. Now, think about this. Think about how they operate, Mr. Chairman. They're in their chambers where they got 2 or 3 recent graduates who are their law clerks. Some judge sits there, you know what? I'm going to tell the president, turn that damn plane around. The hell is this guy? Who does he think he is? I mean, he's a lawyer, a left-wing lawyer with a black robe. That's it, right?
Yep. And the good news is the people, the American people, see through it. Because you're right, this decision to me seems so ridiculous. The judge said just what you said, Mark. Turn the plane around, bring the bad guys back. Turn the plane around and bring all those guys who were here illegally, who are part of an notorious international gang that does all kinds of terrible things. They've done terrible things here in our country, done terrible things from the country they left. Turn it around, bring them back here. That is crazy when the president was elected to deal with this very issue and told us he was going to deal with this very issue.
When we come back, Jim Jordan, I just want to, with you, explain to the American people, in addition to what we're discussing, how outrageous these federal district judges are, how arrogant they are, how rogue and completely out of control they are. And in addition to Congress's role, the Chief Justice of the United States and the majority on the Supreme Court have a role. We'll be right back. We're here with the outstanding chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, just so the public understands, you got about 700 of these trial judges. They're the lowest level. They're not in the Constitution. Congress creates them. Then you have circuit courts, appellate courts, that cover a number of states. Then, of course, the Supreme Court covers the whole country. Now, for a circuit court to issue a ruling, typically they'll have a panel. So at least it need 2 out of the 3 appellate judges. For the Supreme Court to issue a majority opinion or to even cobble one together, you need at least 5. These federal district judges are issuing orders just by themselves. They don't even have panels. They don't need a majority. And they know that in a typical appeal, it takes a few years to catch up. They are completely out of control, are they not?
They are, and of course, the people who are bringing these actions are bringing them in courts and jurisdictions, forum shopping, where they think they're going to get that left-wing judge to take the activist left-wing position, and that's exactly what we got, I believe, with Boasberg, particularly when you look at Boasberg's history. Never forget, this was the guy who sat on the FISA court who said, when Comey brought the dossier and said we want to spy on President Trump's campaign, Boasberg was part of that court that allowed that to happen. Boasberg was part of the court that the guy who altered a document in front of the FISA court, this Kevin Kleinsmith, Boasberg gave him the slap on the wrist. Here's a guy who's a member of the bar who lied to a court, and he basically got a slap on the wrist, lied to the court, a secret court, to get a warrant to spy on another party's campaign, and he gets a slap on the wrist. So there's that history there. And now, of course, we see, Mark, that Boasberg is the judge randomly selected to deal with this other issue where the left wing is coming after Pete Hegseth on this whole Signal Gate concern out there. So you step back and you start to wonder, is this all political from some of these guys? And it sure starts to look that way.
The Democrats have destroyed the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. They've destroyed the district courts in D.C. I think Boasberg needs to be removed. You can't remove him by impeachment. You're not going to get a supermajority of the Senate to convict. He needs to be removed. In other words, another cost saving. I say this, we remove him, eliminate his position, and give the money to food stamps. I think the Democrats can get behind that. That's my guess. Now, let me ask you this quickly while we have a few minutes left. The Chief Justice of the United States and his kind of sidekick, I would say at this point, Justice Barrett, they really blew it about 3.5 weeks ago when they took a pass on a case that was teed up. Justice Alito said, look, this is stunningly ridiculous. Number one, this guy didn't have jurisdiction to issue these national, injunctions. And number two, it's a foreign policy issue, and he's forcing the president to spend money. All President Trump asked for was 60 days to look at this ridiculous spending that was done under the prior administration. He doesn't even write an opinion. Yep. It's one sentence where he rules for the lower court against the president of the United States. That was a bad look. That's a bad move. And if he doesn't step in and take care of this, this is going to be a very ugly battle over a period of time, isn't it?
Well, let's hope this plays out the way it should. I do think that when you look at the Article 2, Section 1, very first sentence, sometimes just going back to the basics like we were doing before, the executive power is vested in a president of the United States. That is so clear. Let's not forget that there are separate and equal branches of government, but they're separate and they have certain powers. And yet the courts seem to want to go after President Trump for doing exactly what he told the voters he was going to do.
Where's the lower court in the Constitution?
All right. Great point. Great point.
Right next to the abortion.
Yeah. The speaker said everything's on the table, and that's the same position I have. I think we got to do all that. Look at all those things.
I'm with you. They write these things into the Constitution. You literally have a non-constitutional judge telling the only person with his running mate elected nationwide by the people what to do. It's turned upside down, but it's tyranny. You can have tyranny of the judiciary, tyranny of the legislature, tyranny of the president. This is tyranny of the judiciary. Jim Jordan, good luck next week. The only witness you probably should have had was me, but I'm too busy. Anyway, thank you, my friend. God bless you.
We wanted you to come. You'd be great. You'd be great. You'd be great. But we've got to get you sometime because I know you'd be great. Mark, thanks for all the good work you do. Take care.